Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Monday Night Raw review. And I gotta say, I thoroughly enjoyed this Monday Night Raw. In fact, on Twitter, and by the way, I want to thank everybody that interacted with me tonight while I live tweeted through Raw. But one of my final tweets was, I would give this Raw an 8.5 out of 10. You know, I thought this show was a lot of fun. It had a lot of, really entertaining matches. I think it kept the steam going, for Battleground, given the Reigns controversy, which, by the way, I think they handled brilliantly. So, yeah, I think with a few little hiccups here and there, which we'll get to, I really feel like this was one of Raw's better outings. Ashton, what did you think of it?
You know, it's so crazy because we talk a lot about how smaller promotions and indie promotions and even still relatively big, but even, promotions with much smaller budgets like Lucha Underground, like Ring of Honor, to a lesser degree Ring of Honor, have better and more consistent writing than WWE, right?
Right.
Well, unfortunately, guys, today we watched the first ever episode of WCPW Loaded. And, we even recorded live reactions to it, but the stream cut out in the middle of the main event. And we had just been kind of so deflated by the show itself that we decided against even putting up the live reactions. It really wasn't a good show. And Raw tonight, I never thought I'd say this, but Raw tonight actually brought my mood up. I wouldn't give it a 10 or a 9 even by any means. I think John's even being a little bit generous, giving it an 8.5. I'd go 8 tops, but it's still, that's so much better than most recent Raws and so much better than WCPW Loaded was today.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on all counts. With that said, let's get right into our first segment, Heat of the Night. And I really don't have Heats of the Night, but I do have, I guess you could really say, a full roster of nitpicks, if anything. So I guess
like
I'll go first. And really, this one is kind of an umbrella for two matches. I don't like that we had the same type of finish, both with mid-card champions, actually, in countouts. Both matches, the Rusev and Titus, U.S. title, and Miz and Kane, which was legitimately for the Intercontinental title, both had count-out finishes with the challenger, even though, again, Rusev's title wasn't on the line, but the challenger being Titus in that case, winning via the count-out. I don't like that they used the same methodology for both mid-card champions. I just think a little bit more creativity would have been nice, especially given that, for the Titus Rusev match, I have to be a bit harsher on that. You're trying to create this very personal, antagonistic atmosphere with legitimate animosity, and the guy that's supposed to be defending his family and this and that wins by countout. I saw quite a few people on Twitter say, is Titus really a babyface, for doing that? So, yeah, I didn't like that a count-out finish was used twice in the same night, so.
Yeah, I mean, I was barely paying attention to both of these matches because they contained, each one of them contained a person who, when their music hits, my brain just shuts down. I just stop paying attention to Raw. Titus O'Neil and Kane, of course. But from what I could tell, they were both countouts, but they were also very different kinds of countouts.
Very true. That I will give you.
The Titus countout was because he beat Rusev down so much that Rusev couldn't make it back into the ring. Whereas the Kane-Miz thing, Miz elected on his own will to leave the ring and help Maurice to the back.
That is a fair point.
Yeah.
Still, I think I would have liked something a little bit different, but I think even given the differing context of those countouts, I can be more forgiving given the rebuttal that you've brought up. But before I continue, I know we like to volley it back and forth on these segments. Do you have any Heats of the Night or nitpicks that you wanted to address?
Oh, brother. I have one massive Heat of the Night that I can't wait to talk about.
Okay, well then now's your time. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, one word. Are you ready for this?
I think I know what it is, but tell us.
Natalya.
Yep, there we go.
She has been in this business for over a decade now. And with her level of experience, with how long she's been doing this, You would think that by now she would have learned how to be a heel, right?
Right.
Here she is tonight. She spent all that time as a babyface acting like a heel, being this snooty, snotty, uppity housewife character who thinks she's better than everyone else. And now she finally turns heel. And her first opportunity to actually talk, she quotes Owen freaking Hart.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is your heel, people.
Yeah, see,
Quoting legends that died tragically that they're related to.
exactly, and especially given that Owen's death in particular, I mean, he was such a beloved figure. Even as a heel, people found him so entertaining.
Yeah.
You know,
And she quotes him.
I mean, I guess I could be sympathetic to a degree because Natalia does come from that family, and I guess it's her way of kind of giving a nod, paying an homage to
but
Owen.
Giving a nod and paying homage to people is for good guys.
That is true. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's just because we know how Martha Hart feels about Owen, you know, and the WWE product. Maybe that's just Natalia's way of making references. But either way, you know, you have a heel character you're supposed to be building, and just not the best note to start out on. Thankfully, because of Becky, Natalia wouldn't even really get to talk much further or elaborate on her motivations because Becky just jumped right on her. And you know, I'm still really enjoying Becky's babyface fire, but Natalia's got to carry her own weight here.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where it wasn't just that either, because she's basically blaming her attacks on miscommunication, which, I mean, if you're going to attack somebody, a miscommunication is probably the dumbest reason to attack them. Like, she's kind of like, I get that she's meant to be a heel, but she's playing somebody who wants to come off as like not even bad intention. Like, she doesn't want to come off as having bad intention. She just wants to come off as like ignorant, basically.
I think what she wants to come off as, which is equally bad, but is just like frustrated, but in a way that makes her the victim.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, John. Thank you for wording it the way that I probably wouldn't have thought of for the next 20 minutes. But, you know, and the crazy thing too is that like she acknowledges, I was a nice person for a really long time, but it got me walked on, and that's cool. You can run with that. But then she goes to quote Owen, and like it's like she doesn't even know how to be a heel, because like even like her justification for attacking Becky the first time, she almost made it seem like it wasn't meant to be personal. Like, oh, Becky was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And then we get this second attack on Raw the following night, and the only justification she had for that was an Owen Hart quote: "Enough is enough, and it's time for a change." So Natalia just needs to get off my television. Like, I was into the idea of her being a heel, but now she's not even trying to be a heel, so just go away.
See, what's interesting is it seems to me like now that we're kind of dissecting the segment and kind of replaying what was said and everything, that it's almost like Natalia suffers from a case of a kind of martyrdom, because, oh, I was so nice and everybody just walked all over me, and I've like given all this. Which, here's the thing, that is actually a very fascinating to me idea for a heel character, but here's the thing, if you're going to do that for a character,
you have to take it over the top.
And that was the exact verbiage I was going to use. You have to take the martyrdom so over the top that people can see it as egomaniacal.
Like Paul Heyman, I martyred myself for you!
Looking up at his father figure! You know, like, you have to see that this person isn't a martyr. They're egomaniacal, they're narcissistic, they're just so self-absorbed that they can't remove themselves from the present situation and see that it's not about them or this, that, or the other. So, and that could actually really fall in line with the Natalia character, because we know, like, oh, I'm so proud of the family I come from. I deserve all this because of the family that I come from. And the one time you could really put your foot on the gas, you pump the brakes.
Yeah, because she doesn't see that as a heel trait, because she actually sees that as a part of her own personality, and she doesn't think she's a bad person.
Right.
Seriously, it's the ultimate version of like self-delusion, man.
Yeah, man. Really sad.
So that's my big heat of the night. She just needs to go away, and she's not going to anytime soon, because she's actually in a program now with somebody that we're meant to like. But she's going to keep on trying to get sympathy for herself, and screw that.
Right. Do you have any nitpicks or whatever, or am I just going to have to go through my 2 nitpicks, and I guess we could go on with our review?
Well, you'll just have to see. Do another nitpick, and I'll tell you after.
Oh, look at that. My next nitpick, and again, I don't mind it because they didn't give any indication otherwise, but I do feel like building up the intrigue for the IC title match, it was a squandered opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, I love the setup. Like, oh, he's been gone all this time, and you know the clause, you've got to defend it every 30 days, which I know Lee, shout out to Lee there.
Lee Clark?
Lee Clark, baby, yeah. Was upset because it's like, oh, now they pull it out. This is such bullshit. But you know what? I don't mind it. If you're trying to tell a narrative, who the hell am I to tell you what tools you can and cannot use? They used it. We've heard it before, so it's not like there's no precedent. And I'm okay with it. I would have been more okay with it, though, if there was a better payoff. Now, there were so many great ideas. I personally put forward Apollo Crews. I know a few other people did. Ella says stuff, who I have to shout out in particular. She was like, man, wouldn't this be a great way to debut Darren Young? And, oh, man, would it have been. Like, yeah. I was actually excited about the prospect. Oh, man, it's good. Especially because WWE didn't make it any easier. Of course, it's not their fault. They didn't know that we were thinking Darren Young. But they have a Make Darren Young Great Again vignette tonight that really has a sense of finality to it. Because Bob Backlund's like, oh, we're going to review your life goals in this and that. So it's like, oh, you only do that when you're really ready to set out and achieve said goals. So, oh my God, is this going to happen? And now I'm really convinced now that Darren Young is a SmackDown exclusive act if he didn't show up tonight. And then it turns out to be Kane. And what's worse, and here's the thing too, and why I think I couldn't even let this go and I had to make this a nitpick. I could have forgiven it, begrudgingly, mind you, but I could have forgiven it if Miz had gone over, like definitively pinned Kane, whatever. But Kane winning the way that he did, yes, Miz is still champion, and I do think he's going to win in the end, but there's no reason why this has to be a program. There's no reason why this has to be a thing. And I really think that's why I couldn't let it go. I think they squandered a real opportunity here. Maybe Neville just wasn't healthy, which I'm really starting to miss Neville now, because I thought this would have been a great way for him to come back. Apollo obviously had the tag match. My money's still on him to ultimately beat Miz for the Intercontinental title. So yeah, I just feel like you could have done anybody, maybe even an NXT act, call him up a little early, and you go with Kane. It was just a bit deflating, that's all.
Yeah. Oh man, I see what you're saying though. Yeah.
Do you have any nitpicks? We'll volley back to you.
No, I'm good.
All right, well then my final nitpick, and again, this is as we've been fond of saying on TWitWoW every now and again, the pickiest of nits. I loved how they handled the Roman Reigns thing. I cannot stress that enough, and we'll go more in depth about that when we get to the formal Raw review. And I love the idea of these matches, like, okay, because of Reigns' folly, you guys have the chance to go to Battleground. I think what bothered me, and maybe this is just me being selfish and spoiled, I really wish they would have committed to it, because to me, with neither Cena nor AJ winning their respective matches, it looked like nothing more than a smokescreen. Because what I was excited about, right, was you have Cena and AJ win. That continues their feud because they're sharing the same match now. They're in the same space. And you also avoid the full-on Shield triple threat, and then you could do it at SummerSlam, which I know you, me, and a lot of people have been saying, like, that's the venue to do it. So I'm like, oh, man, WWE, this is so next level for you. You brilliantly tackle head-on Reigns' suspension, and now you can use that suspension to your advantage to do some great rewriting on a story that needs to be prolonged just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And Cena and AJ both losing, which, I mean, I can credit how they lost because, again, it still keeps Cena and AJ in the same realm, in the same, universe. I just really wish, man, they would have committed and they would have done the 5-way, because then by SummerSlam, I mean, not that people are going to stop ragging on Roman or that his suspension will be forgotten about, but I think more time would have passed, and then you could just really be like, you know what, past is prologue, triple threat at SummerSlam is in front of me, I've wanted this for however long, let's do it. So I really think, again, it was another missed opportunity kind of thing. One that I'm far more forgiving of than the IC title picture. But, man, I kind of feel teased a little bit. And it's fine because we got 2 great matches. But, man, I wish they really would have committed and pulled the trigger.
Yeah, and they were 2 great matches with stakes. But when those stakes don't actually get used, it makes it feel pointless.
I'll be honest with you, dude. I don't know how you would feel about this. I know Lee Clark loved it because he's an AJ Styles mark. I actually would have found it fascinating if Cena lost like he did, But AJ actually qualified to continue this idea that, oh, I really am better than Cena, but it was only because he cheated anyway.
Right.
And then Cena maybe screws him at Battleground. It's a fatal four-way, no DQ anyway. You could
Right.
just beat the shit out of Styles, and then the final few minutes would...
Honestly, they could even play it off like, you know, like the four entrants are out, and then before the bell even rings, Cena's music plays, and he comes out, and he gets in the ring like he's in the match, but he's not even an official competitor. And as soon as the bell rings, he just goes after AJ, and he basically eliminates him from the match by just brawling with him throughout the entire arena.
Exactly. Like, I would have loved that too, because then it would have given all the AJ fans, again, no offense, Lee, this sense of hope, like, oh my god, can he win the championship? And then as soon as you hear Cena's music, it's just, nope. And it just goes and he does his thing. Exactly. So, I mean, yeah, actually, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So I'm not even saying like both guys had to qualify. Again, I just put forth to you an idea that you took and you ran with about even AJ just qualifying.
Yeah.
They were so close, man. I just wanted a bit more ingenuity, man.
I'm glad that you brought up your nitpick. Your nitpick was that they didn't utilize the potential of AJ and Cena being in that 5-way, right?
Exactly.
Okay, well, now that I think about it, you just inspired me to have not only another nitpick, but a heat of the night.
Oh, wow. Full blown. All right. What is it?
Keeping Roman in the triple threat.
Yeah.
And then the reason it's a heat of the night isn't because, oh, I'm a bitter WWE fan that hates Roman Reigns and doesn't want him to be in the world title match. It's got nothing to do with that. It's because I am a Roman Reigns fan that doesn't want to see him fail, and they are setting him up for failure. You have this dude get suspended for 30 days, and that, obviously, he screwed up. He had so much invested in him, millions of dollars, literally has been invested in making Roman Reigns the guy. He does whatever it was that he did. I've heard rumors that it was PEDs, and he gets caught, and now they're going to try and keep him the good guy, and they're going to, like, the whole reason people hate him in the first place is because he's been handed everything. And now they're going to say, oh, this suspension, yeah, whatever, we're still going to hand you this title shot.
Which, that poses another kind of problem again, and this is, I'm not trying to come down too hard on WWE because I know they were really in a rock and a hard place, but when you have Seth make the points that he did at the start of the show,
yeah,
why is he the heel again?
And then Stephanie McMahon, the ultimate bitch heel of all people, is the one that decides to keep Roman in the match.
Exactly. Like, I hate to be that guy against the guy, but it's funny to me that even in a kayfabe sense, she's so against Ambrose being champion, when I'm like, lady, at least he kept his nose clean. Like, goddamn, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like,
and it's funny, too, because she said that Ambrose being champion was more embarrassing than Roman getting caught with PEDs.
No, I don't think so. No, not even close, really. Not even close.
I mean, I get it. As a heel character, that would make
right.
sense to say. Like, I get that. But even then it would make sense to say because you want Roman to be beloved. Like, how does that make sense?
Yeah, you know, WWE, here's the thing. I commend everything they did tonight as it relates to the Roman situation. I will come down hard on them, though, if they're still committed to the Roman Reigns babyface project when he comes back. Because now the table is not only set where you should turn Roman Reigns heel, I think we've gotten to a point, Ashton, where they don't even have the luxury of choice anymore. Because at least before...
Because when he shows up, when his music hits at Battleground, you're not going to be able to even hear Michael Cole talking to try and drown out the boos, because the boos are going to be what drown him out. It's going to be that bad.
Exactly. I mean, at least before, you know, when we thought at least he was running a clean ship, you know, he was trying to carry this push on his back, even if you, me, and countless others bemoaned the idea that he was a babyface, WWE could at least, you know, come into it and be like, well, you know, at least he's doing his best, whatever. After this...
Yeah.
I don't know what you're clearly taking something more than he did. If you think that he can't, or, you know, he could still be a babyface and that, no, we can't turn him heel. Like, I feel like their hand has been forced. Play the cards you fucking have and make the most of it. And I say it angrily because I know they can do it.
Well, and then that's the thing, too, that, like, you have Roman Reigns, who was absolutely loathed by everybody. Well, 80% of your audience before this, and now this happens, and people think that he has even more of a sense of entitlement because even despite all this stuff, he's still getting a title shot. There is literally no better time to turn this man heel.
And dude, I've just got to say, and I don't want to go into full-blown rant territory because I know we have a formal Raw review to get to, but what a horrible message this sends to the locker room, too.
Oh my, because that whole idea of, like, nobody's bigger than WWE has just been proven wrong.
Not only that, and look, as a performer, I even said on Twitter, Titus O'Neil is a charisma vacuum. But the guy plays around, maybe has a little joke with Vince McMahon.
And gets suspended for 60 days.
60 days. 60. Roman does, and you know what? I don't know. What source did you hear PEDs from? This was like a Meltzer thing or what?
No, well, I heard it's the same source that I've been getting all this inside information from that called Shane and called the brand split and all this stuff ahead of time.
And see, like, okay, well, because of that, I'm going to take cautiously what you've told me as fact, because that is a credible source. Knowing that, only a 30-day suspension, which I get because there is precedent, first-time violation,
right.
Fine.
Yeah, like that's set in stone. Like, they've established what the rules are for violating the wellness policy. They can't change that.
But WWE title match at the main event of a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Like, that reeks of, I don't even want to say politics, but like, yeah, it reeks of privilege. And not even necessarily privilege that maybe Roman Reigns asks for or he manipulates backstage. I don't know his behavior backstage, but it's clearly privilege that he has from the people that matter. That pretty much says, oh, undercard guys, you try joking around with like a personnel, whatever, you could be suspended 60 days. This guy, he could take performance-enhancing drugs, and he could still be looking at a main event spot. Like, that sends such a bad message to your locker room. No, I would have taken a strong stance. I would have said, look, Reigns, we could get you back in the program at SummerSlam, but you screw up like this, you don't get main event spots. You're out of Battleground.
And the thing, too, is like there are so many creative paths that you could take to still work Roman into that main event without making it seem like he's entitled and he was just kind of gifted an actual spot in the main event. Like, you could have, the advertisements could say, yeah, one-on-one match, blah, blah, blah. And then 15 minutes into a 20-minute match, Roman's music hits and he comes out and he just stares the participants in the ring down. And maybe he even costs Dean the match, like that would, and I feel like that would get him a ton of heat. I feel like him turning heel it's just been made so much easier by this, and it's been made more natural by this, because like you have this dude that's been handed everything in the world and then he throws it away, intentionally throws it away, and it's like we're supposed to cheer for this guy. It just makes no sense. And the worst part is they were continuing to try and keep Roman and a good guy and save him face tonight.
I know. That's what bothers me the most. I don't want to drone on about the subject and get repetitive, but yeah, WWE, you have serious choices to make both at and beyond Battleground with the draft and SummerSlam and all these big events coming up on your horizon as it relates to Roman Reigns' involvement and how he's going to participate in said events. Make him heel. Let him have that run.
Because if you turn him heel now, he'll be freaking Muhammad Hassan levels of heat over.
Yes. Yeah, and dude, the thoroughbred gimmick that he had in NXT is so apropos right now.
And he could even turn the volume up and use everything that's been happening to him. I didn't have to earn that title shot. You don't need to earn things when you're as good as me.
When you have the value that I do in this ring, you're above scandals. Just stuff like that.
Like they talk about how nobody is above the WWE. That's not true. You're looking at him. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. Yeah.
Bam. Dude, so good. So, on that note, let us get right into our Monday Night Raw review. And we open up with the architect, CrossFit Jesus, Seth Rollins. Ashton, I'm going to field it to you. What did you think about Seth Rollins' mic work here?
Well, I mean, he pretty much just... I feel like he was... Like, it was Vince McMahon speaking through Seth Rollins here. Like, he was cutting a promo, cutting Roman down, cutting down this whole suspension thing, and really, it was a worked shoot. They were using a real-life thing that happened to kind of bring it like full circle and turn it into Seth wanting it to be a one-on-one match, and that kind of incites Dean to come out.
And can I just say, too, as just a very quick side note, how appropriate it is that Seth delivers him. I mean, in one way, yeah, he's supposed to be heel, and it does make him sound like babyface because it's not a lot of sense. But I will say I do like it because, one, he beat Roman Reigns clean, and two, the same guy he beat clean just got suspended, and yet he's still muscling in on what Seth Rollins believes to be his rightful championship rematch. So I like the idea that Seth has this gripe, because when you look at his involvement with Roman and just what Roman's been doing, recently with the violation and everything, yeah, I think Seth does have a leg to stand on. Like, why is this not a one-on-one match between me and Ambrose again? Have you seen this guy in Roman? So yeah, I really enjoyed this promo. Dean comes out. I'm still really enjoying Dean as WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I thought he had another great week this week, at least, or another great night, I should say, as far as Raw is concerned. And, he, being the babyface and knowing the friendship he has with Roman, he takes the route that we expect him to. He's like, yeah, Roman made a mistake. He owned up to it, but I'm not looking at that. I'm looking beyond. I'm looking at Battleground. I'm looking at defending my WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And something? It's still a triple threat match. Seth violently protests this. It's like, no, it should be a one-on-one match. No, one-on-one match. And then AJ Styles came out first, right? That's right. He came out first.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because the crowd was super excited to see him.
Yeah, that's right. And he said, I understand where it's come from. This whole controversy, it creates an opening. Put me in that match. And while Seth's reaction is, no, my championship match, Dean is just like, sure, man, I don't care. Pull up a seat. I love Dean's attitude. Like, my WWE Championship, every title defense I have, you might as well consider an open door and a party. Like, everybody's invited. I will beat everybody. Like, I just love that.
True fighting champion.
Dude, that is the perfect narrative for him, too. Like, give him his run, please. And so AJ's like, fine. You don't have to take Roman out. Just add me to it. We can have a fatal four-way. I beat John Cena. I earned it. And I'm like, oh, AJ, you're so right. But then John Cena's music hits. And then he pretty much says, oh, well, what's better than a fatal four-way? Wait for it. A fatal five-way. I'm so good. And Seth just gets angrier and angrier. And Dean's just like, again, I don't care. Bring yourself, AJ, you come, Club can come, Roman can come, Seth can come. I'm just gonna beat everybody. I am the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I will fight everybody. Seth is like shitting himself because his grandmaster plan of a one-on-one match has now gotten the potential to be 5 people in his world title match. Then Stephanie comes out, and I'm telling you, I really wish that she would have kept up the ruse of being a babyface, because that Stephanie McMahon was so much more entertaining. But she comes out, immediately lambasts Roman. It's like, oh, well, Roman's suspension, that was an embarrassment. But you know what's even worse? You as champion, Dean Ambrose. And we're like, say what? Because he was just so good, and he's been working so hard. And here's Stephanie's like, well, not in my brand. Raw will be ruled by champions I want. So,
which apparently Roman is closer to than Dean.
Yeah, I want milquetoast champions with no personality. You're bad for business, Dean.
Who get caught for PEDs.
Who get caught for this. That's right. Oh, man. Too bad he couldn't enhance his performance as a babyface, but regardless.
Oh!
But,
Google Maps for your local burn clinic, bitch.
That had so much win, it's not even funny. But Stephanie, rather than going the stereotypical route of most mundane booked Raws of a tag team match, says, wait a minute. I have an idea that's actually interesting. We can do Dean Ambrose versus AJ Styles and John Cena versus Seth Rollins. And I just love that Seth Rollins protested this entire. I think he was just saying no the entire time. It's like an homage to heel Daniel Bryan. No, that shouldn't happen. Why is this happening to me? So if John Cena beats Seth and AJ beats Dean, they punch their ticket to Battleground, and then Stephanie, the ultimate bitch. Good luck, everyone. Oh, well, except for you, Dean. And then Dean's just singing, well, fuck you too, then. And, that was pretty much the segment.
Dean was probably thinking, I wonder if I left my blunt on last night.
Oh man.
I really hope he didn't burn his house down with that.
I know. That's bad, man. Always bad. Always got to make sure the blunt's off. But anything you want to say about this opener?
No, man, I like the idea. I was kind of like right there with you. I really liked the idea of the potential to make this a multiple person match, but at the end of the day, even if it would have been a 5-man match, it still should have been 4 because Roman shouldn't sniff this.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
So
All right, what came after this, brother?
after this, we had our first match of the night. Paige and Sasha Banks, not Becky Lynch. Paige and Sasha Banks versus Charlotte and Dana Brooke. And I mean, this was basically like an Enzo and Big Cass match where Enzo, played by the role of Paige, gets beat down and taken advantage of and isolated. And then Big Cass, played by Sasha, gets the hot tag and dominates and gets the win.
Yeah, which I felt like was exactly how it should have been. I was a bit perplexed by commentary that's like, oh, can Paige and Sasha get on the same page? Yes.
I think we were on the same page last week when Paige was raising Sasha's hand while she held the title.
Exactly, yeah. She gave Sasha the nod, so where is this coming from? But yeah.
I bet you I know where it's coming from. They're trying to play into her whole character where she basically turns on anybody that's ever nice to her.
That's true. And if commentary was going that route, which would be clever even for them, I at least commend them for trying to create somewhat of a engaging thread. But yeah, these two are together fine. Sasha getting the hot tag was smart. I'm loving the reaction she's getting from the crowd. Maybe now that it seems like she's going to be more heavily promoted going forward and more regularly featured, that base can grow. And I'm telling you, we could have some really over women in the next few years. I think we already have some really over women now, don't get me wrong, but I'm talking like legitimate full-blown brands where they're like main attractions. Definitely Sasha, I think, has that potential already. So I'm very excited. So yeah, Sasha makes Dana tap out with the bank statement.
I hope you're excited, John, because Battleground is going to be a 6-woman tag. I guarantee it.
You're probably right. But
it's going to be Sasha, Paige, and Becky taking on Charlotte, Dana, and Natty.
Oh God, all 3 of them.
And I called that as soon as Natalya turned on Becky at the last pay-per-view.
Mother of God, you actually did. But I'll say this. I could tolerate it and maybe even enjoy it, so long as we reach the promised land. SummerSlam. Charlotte, Sasha Banks, WWE Women's Championship. Sasha finally takes what's hers. I even tweeted tonight, WWE, you might as well put Sasha's custom side plates on the belt right now, because it's inevitable, baby. Sasha Banks for Women's Champion.
Oh, I can't wait until Charlotte gets disqualified in that match and drags it out another month.
Can I have one thing? One thing! And you're probably not even wrong, but regardless, let's move on.
Okay. Up next was our second match of the night, Rusev versus Titus O'Neil. Titus wins via countout, and JBL promptly comes in his pants.
Ashton, the only thing I'm going to say about this match, since you just gave the perfect summation, and I'm not deluding myself into thinking I can top it, is that, again, Rusev, in my mind, is so above this, and I really hope that the draft does good things for him, because I have been tweeting for a while now.
He's going to SmackDown, brother. He is going to SmackDown.
And you know what? He should, because I'm telling you, all the talents that I really see a future for that's obstructed by Roman, I'm privileged Reigns, really should be on SmackDown. And Rusev is like, I don't know if prototype's the right word, but he's the guy that I'm so heavily invested in. Not as much as Kevin Owens, but I really dig Rusev, dude. I want him to do better things. So I'm just like biting down on the pillow, so to speak, and just thinking just a little bit longer till the draft. Then Rusev can kiss all this goodbye, because he is such a good heel. And again, this isn't even trying to be negative towards Titus, but bro, I'm not into you at all. I don't know why this is happening. So I really hope
it's called not actually being good at anything.
That's so true. I mean, Father of the Year, Kevin Owens is a thing, so debatable. I don't know.
Well, and Kofi Kingston is a thing, too, so even more debatable.
That's true. I mean, he even said, we'll fight your kids. I mean, that's dedicated right there. So...
if that doesn't win Father of the Year, I don't know what the hell does.
See, that's what I'm saying. You get me, man. You get me. So... yeah, Titus wins. It's a cheap way to keep him in the title picture. I just want him to lose definitively again, because he lost definitively at Money in the Bank, but lose definitively again at Battleground, and then we can get Rusev doing better things because he's a better athlete than doing this crap.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that makes sense.
What came after this?
Stephanie McMahon backstage runs into Corporate Kane.
What do you think of this?
You know what? I said it before and I'll say it again. I can dig Corporate Kane in these small doses. If you keep it to once or twice a month, I'm down.
You know, reflecting back on this segment, originally, I'm not going to lie, I was pretty mad on it.
You know what this needed, though? You know what this segment really needed?
What's that?
Oh, my God. I just set myself up for a more cowbell joke, but I'm not going to go there. This segment needed more Hellfire puns.
Yeah.
It'll really burn you up inside. I want Kane to be that character.
You know, my kind of rationale for this whole segment, which actually makes the Intercontinental title match we got later easier to go down. Like, I love that Kane was lobbying for the position again, but then when Miz comes in, and him and Maurice are more or less complaining, like, where is our star treatment? We've been gone all this time and not even a red carpet for our return. And then Kane tries to relate to Miz and be like, oh, well, I was in movies too. And then Miz just like, excuse you? What the hell have you been in compared to me? And I think Kane was just so hurt that he's like, what's the last time I try to make friends with anybody? I'm gonna.
Can I just say though, See No Evil was bigger than any movie The Miz has ever been in.
That's true. That's true. I just like the idea of Kane's feelings being so hurt, and he's like, well, now I'm gonna hurt you and take the Intercontinental title. So yeah, Kane, he underneath all that fire lies some very deep feelings.
By the way, I love that. I don't even know if this was intentional, but something tells me that at the very least, it was sort of like a Freudian slip. Kane said in the rule book that it was section G1. I wonder if Kane is a fan of New Japan and he just saw the list of G1 competitors that got released on Sunday.
Oh, that'd be so cool if he was a New Japan fan.
It wouldn't surprise me. He's surprisingly smart.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so yeah, I kind of hope, like, I've in my head canon, Kane's a G1 fan and he was giving him a shout out.
Yeah, I like both of our headcanons. I have an emotionally aware monster. You have a G1 fan. Everything works.
Can it be both?
Yeah.
An emotionally aware monster who's also is a big fan of Puroresu?
Yes, I love it.
So he sets up, because of rule section G1 938 or whatever it was, how a champion needs to be defending the title once at least every 30 days, which I might add. Oh, no, you know what? I was getting ready to say Charlotte already broke that clause, but then she did defend the title against Paige the night after the tag match, so never mind.
Right.
But yeah, he says that Miz has to defend his title tonight. Steph agrees and tells him it'll be a mystery opponent, who it ended up being Kane, but yeah.
Which in hindsight, it's so appropriate that Steph delivered that message, because being a heel, she knew she was teasing us, and then with that delivery, Stephanie's probably in the back laughing, because like, oh, these smarks, they thought they were getting Balor tonight.
That was my fault, though. I totally blew that out of proportion.
Oh, no, dude, it wasn't just you. I was seeing other people say it. So I wasn't even trying to say, I wasn't even thinking about, like, you saying it. Like, I saw other people say it. And yeah, I wanted to believe it.
Oh, you saw other people say Balor, too.
Yeah, not only that, Balor did one of his world-famous teases, and I'm like, oh, Finn, I'm not falling for that one again. You just hurt me too many times. So, yeah.
He just can't keep his word, Kenny.
It hurts so bad. But, all right, brother, what came after this?
Seth Rollins versus John Cena.
Oh, Seth. What did you think of this match? I want you to go first.
It was, I mean, obviously it wasn't as good as their matches usually are, but that's just because it had less time. It was still solid, and the finish, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I get that it was a less clean win than Roman Reigns, obviously.
I love, though, that sometimes John Cena can get beaten by one kneeled super kick or one pedigree, but when it comes to, like, big-time matches, it takes, like, 3 finishers to put him away, and even then, he can kick out.
Yeah.
How many F5s did he kick out that Brock Lesnar delivered during that SummerSlam match where he just completely dominated Cena?
Didn't it at least take 3 F5s?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But he gets beat by Alberto Del Rio's super kick one time, and now here he gets beat by one pedigree.
Yeah, I actually have expected Cena to kick out, which would have made me laugh, but I'm glad they gave Seth the win. And like I was saying, yes, it was a less clean victory than the one Seth got at Money in the Bank over Roman Reigns, But I mean, the club didn't have to lay their hands on Cena or anything. Cena got distracted. I mean, he has free will. He could have kept his eyes on Seth. He got distracted. Seth was smart enough to capitalize. I still say Seth's on a freaking roll. I mean, holy shit.
Somebody needs to make a pro wrestling movie
Yeah.
that is like the pro wrestling equivalent to what Cabin in the Woods did to horror.
Yes.
Just completely break it down and like create a brand new version of kayfabe.
Yes. I love that idea.
Like, John Cena got distracted because there were noxious fumes being blown into the ring to try and loosen the competitors up.
That seems like a film project with Max Landis' name all over it for my money.
Oh, that would be so good.
I know.
I love Landis' work, but yeah. So as we've established already, Seth Rollins wins with 1 pedigree. But up next, Enzo and Cass, John. I really want you to take this because this segment felt really forced to me.
Really?
Yeah.
You know,
I can They already have the crowd support, and now they're going to try and force the crowd to do something like ridiculous to prove that they love them.
You know, I didn't quite take it that way. I could see why you did, because they were very blatant about, we've gotten here because of you, which when you're a babyface, that's kind of implied. And then they try and demonstrate, like in my mind, very explicit crowd control, like, we've been riding this wave of your support, so now we want you guys to do the wave. I always appreciate crowd control more when you've let something catch on organically, like, SAWFT Soft, or like we did here on TWitWoW with, because he's a father, damn it, which I can't wait to talk about that segment later, letting things breathe. When you try and do explicit manipulation, you got to be very careful, because crowds in present day, wrestling fans, very fickle. It's like a fire that can burn you like that. And I think Enzo and Cass are lucky that they're as beloved as they are, because I think they could get away with it. But this is not something I would make a habit of at all.
No, so. And that's the thing. Like, it feels like they're being like, oh, you guys love us? Do ya? Why don't you prove how much you love us? Do this thing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. Feels natural.
I will say though, like, I'm glad that's where your contention was, because a lot of people seem to have a problem, not a big problem, I don't want to overblow it, but like seem to wonder, like, well, why was there a squash match on Raw? When you and I have said, like, we feel like squash matches need to be utilized more on the main roster.
Yeah, so I would have rather seen this than another Enzo and Cass versus the Vaudevillains match.
I completely agree. I thought it was well paced.
Rather this than Enzo and Cass versus the Usos. Ew.
Exactly. Again, I agree with you. I think it was well paced. I think it gave just enough exposure to potential new viewers about Enzo and Cass that wasn't like dragged on or anything. And plus, with a match like this, you can really showcase Enzo and Cass as like explosive, fun, charismatic, like that real quintessential babyface team. So, yeah, I really approved of this squash match. I may be in the minority, although clearly you agree with me, so I'm glad I at least have you having my back. But, yeah, I didn't really see a problem with this. And then what happened after I thought was even more interesting, because we get the Social Outcasts come out. Now, you wanted my opinion on Enzo and Cass. I want your opinion on the Social Outcasts reemerging and just really doing something here. What are your thoughts?
They're entertaining, but I feel like they were in over their heads here.
Really?
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like they were biting off more than they could chew, man. Like, they were talking about, we're not soft, we're hard, 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 and then. I mean, you're going to try and out-banter Enzo and Cass. That's not going to happen. And then you go even 3-on-1. I don't feel like they could take Cass by himself, I don't think. Like, Cass is just too good,
Yeah, and you know what? I think being the kinds of heels that they are, I think WWE has the self-awareness that you did, and that's why they did it anyway. Because I think anybody looking at this on paper, it's like, well, complete mismatch. And in reality, complete mismatch. And I think that's kind of the undercurrent of comedy going on with this whole thing, because like you guys are in way over your heads right now, to your point. Another question I want to ask you on a more personal note. Do you don't worry. Do you think the Social Outcasts are lacking without Adam Rose? Do you think they need to fill that void, or do you think as a trio they can work?
Yeah, I think they're fine. I mean, they might want to add somebody, I don't know, somebody loopy. Like, that's what Adam Rose brought, was like he was like this crazy loopy guy.
Right.
That came up with weird nicknames for everyone, and now they feel almost too serious,
Yeah, see, my assessment of it is pretty much like yours. Like, if you can find a fourth guy that would organically fit what Adam Rose's role was, by all means, Mazel Tov, have at it. But don't force it, because I would rather just see these three guys build something on their own and do Social Outcast, like 2.0, just like the three of them, than try and force a fourth guy and be like, okay, this is the Social Outcast. Because, I would see, like, I forget their names now because they've been so irrelevant, but one of the members of the Ascension, I think it was Victor.
Yeah,
Rick
Victor. Yeah.
And,
hey,
it just
Victor!
seemed like yeah, there you go. And it just seems so out of place. However, the prospect of these two even having a one-off match, which is probably what it's going to be, that's fine. That's fine. I think they really want to tease Enzo and Cass getting back up to the WWE Tag Team title picture. And I'll tell you what, a program between them and the Wyatts, if what the Wyatts and the New Day are doing is any indication of what we might get on that end, I'd be open to the Realist guys versus the Wyatt family for sure.
Yeah, man. I can dig that. As far as the Social Outcasts, I wouldn't mind Breezango being added to that faction and we just have 5 instead of 4.
I agree. I think that'd be a very fun addition to the Social Outcasts with a lot of comedic potential. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. And if Breezango ever break up, then Fandango is the one that I specifically want in the Social Outcasts.
Right.
Because, Vince will never do it, but I think Breeze has a better shot at a solo career.
Definitely.
Although I wouldn't be surprised if Fandango ends up in Lucha Underground or at some time over the next year or so.
God, I hope so. I think he could do really wonderful things there.
Yeah, there are a bunch of WWE guys whose contracts are running out over the next few months that are all deciding to leave and go to ROH together next year.
Really?
From what I understand, yeah.
You have any specific names, or is that
No, I don't have any specific names, but if I would have to guess, Ziggler's probably going to be one of them.
Yeah, Ziggler does seem so ROH, and I don't even mean that as a compliment.
No.
God. Yeah, go there. I don't care.
It's so ironic, though, because ROH is known for no selling, and what's he going to do?
Yeah, I know, right?
All he does is sell.
Maybe that could be part of a gimmick or something. I sell everything. Maybe they could even call him the salesman, Dolph Ziggler. I don't freaking know. But anyway, I guess we can move on.
His character is literally a used car salesman.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, team up with Famous B.
There you go.
He'll make you famous.
Man, I can't wait for Lucha Underground on Wednesday.
I
but
know.
in the present, what do we got next?
In the present? You mean the future?
Oh, I see what you did there.
Or since it happened earlier tonight, does that make it the past?
Ooh, I see what you did there again.
Let's get existential up in this bitch.
Yeah, I guess the past is more apropos.
Well, you know what else we're going to do, John?
What's that?
We're going to make Darren Young great again.
I really wish he would have debuted tonight and won the Intercontinental title. But fuck my dreams, I guess. What did you... I know you've been stoked on these vignettes. What did you think of this as a wrap-up? Because it certainly felt like a wrap-up.
It's the same one they showed on SmackDown. Did you not watch this episode of SmackDown?
I don't think I did watch SmackDown last Thursday. I don't know if it was like problems or what.
Yeah, this was on SmackDown.
All right, fair enough. Which, again, we've already established, so that's no surprise. And see, to be fair... I'm not trying to absolve myself. I didn't watch SmackDown. I think because where I tried to watch it had technical difficulties. But I even looked for this vignette on WWE's YouTube channel because they had the last few ones up. It wasn't on there.
Huh.
So, really, this was my first exposure to it, just in general, which, again, not surprised it aired on SmackDown. I really believe Darren Young is a SmackDown exclusive gimmick, which is fine. But yeah, this is a good summation of things. Hopefully it was a summation because now it's going to be awkward if there is a new one on SmackDown. And I'm like, well, there that is. But,
new one on SmackDown is going to be them like packing up to leave, and it's going to be a lesson on packing light.
Yeah, there you go. I could totally see that happening too. But yeah, I liked how it just went over. Darren Young wants to win a singles championship. He wants to main event WrestleMania, which prompted a laugh from Lee Clark. Because feelings and all that. But yeah, I totally support the idea of Darren Young being Intercontinental Champion or U.S. Champion if that title is the one to go to SmackDown. So hopefully it happens for him.
So you're officially predicting a Darren Young to SmackDown move, huh?
I think so. Look, all the new vignettes have aired on SmackDown, all that other stuff. It just seems like a SmackDown exclusive gimmick, which, you know what? No days off with Bob Backlund. I think that could be a real highlight for SmackDown in the future. I really do. So best of luck to him.
Yeah, all right. Well, up next we had Summer Rae versus Becky Lynch, which never actually happened because Natalya was on commentary being awful, and Becky Lynch decided to, avenge herself.
You know,
She invoked justice.
I know. Becky Lynch is just so wonderful. She saw everybody suffering, and she's just like, well, I've got to put an end to this.
That's the
And
ultimate babyface move. Not only did she not, kind of squash Summer Rae, who's wonderful, and that's how that match would have gone, unfortunately, but she shut Natalya up, like the ultimate babyface.
yeah, she beat down Natalya almost as bad as she beat down Alex Foster during their divorce. So, this is great stuff from
What?
Becky Lynch here. Well, Alex Foster's always like, oh, Becky's my woman. Kind of like I do with Emma, but, they divorced. I mean, I'm not trying to air dirty laundry or cause problems or anything. I mean, certainly not me.
Well,
but,
that's kind of exactly what you're doing, though.
It's common knowledge, though. I mean, So, there you go. But, yeah, Becky really took care of business tonight. I loved it.
Yeah. Let's not talk about personal lives of our...
Yeah, I mean, let me just ask you this, though, in all sincerity. I know you don't like what Natalya's done as a heel, even though the concept on paper can work. Execution so far, there's already been a misstep. Do you think these two are going to have good matches, though, that could really be a good feel for Becky Lynch in the long run? Like, do you think this will do her any favors?
No, I don't.
You don't think so? That's a shame.
No, because in order for it to do her any favors, Natalya would have to be over as a heel, and she's not going to be ever.
Right, so it seems like Becky Lynch is more servicing Natalya by being such a great babyface foil.
Exactly, yep. It's dragging Becky down.
That's such a shame.
The same way Bray and Dean were dragging each other down a couple years ago.
Right. Yeah, man. It's times like this that I wonder, is Becky Lynch ever going to be a WWE Women's Champion? I still have hope that she will be, but...
Yeah, probably, eventually. They'll give her a title, even if it's like a pity title in 5 years or something.
Right. But you know what, though? You saying 5 years, like, I even thought at one point it would be a lot shorter a wait than that, but at times like this, I'm like, nope, Becky Lynch fans, this is going to be a long haul, this one. So, I'll be patient, though. Becky Lynch is worth it. So, that was that segment. Anything else you want to say about it?
No, I think we about covered it, especially when we talked about Natalya's awfulness in Heat of the Night.
Right.
So, Chris Jericho's highlight reel. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. This was a really good segment. Can I just say, Fiery Sami is best Sami.
Oh, dude, I completely agree with you. The two moments that I really got in to the Sami Zayn character, his promo on Neville, where he, I think, slapped him and just said, I've come close time after time. I'm tired of coming close. I'm going to win it, and I'm going to beat you for it, and I don't need your pity or this and that, because Neville was really healing it up.
Yeah.
And the contract signing he had with Owens, where he was manic a few weeks prior, I'm not having another match until I get Kevin Owens. And then he's asking the crowd, do you want to see Sami Zayn kick Kevin Owens out? I agree with you. Sami Zayn, when he is breathing fire, is next level. He's got that energy to him when he's spitting that fire that's almost Daniel Bryan-esque to me. He could ride that wave to the highest of places. So I agree. I loved what Sami did here. I really have to commend him. All kidding aside, I know I love having fun at Sami's expense, but being totally sincere, this was great work from him. And I gotta say, too, and again, being sincere, I love the work from Owens. In one way, yes, he said the same thing that we heard him say on NXT, but I love the addition he made tonight. If you noticed, he flipped the script and said that Sami was really the bad friend, because while Kevin was happy for Sami when he got signed by WWE, when he won the NXT championship, Kevin said, well, you couldn't be happy for me and kind. And why? Because my success came at your expense? For you to be that jaded, that just shows me that I've been the better friend all along. I like that a lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, I like it from a character perspective because it shows just how much of a narcissist Kevin Owens is.
Dude, it's like I've told you before, and you know this, I developed this idea from happenings in my own personal life. I think the best kind of heel is one that can do just the most crisp mental gymnastics to justify anything. Because what I love about this, too, it's a reason by omission. And why I say that is that Kevin Owens can say all this, but he conveniently forgets to mention that he powerbombed Sami Zayn on the ring apron multiple times.
Yep.
You've committed those abuses, own up to it, but no, that's not a part of his mental gymnastics. If you're going to stick the landing, you've got to make yourself look as good as possible. And Kevin Owens is so good at that.
Yep.
I'm telling you, dude, he's an amazing heel. And I
You're
love
telling me as if I don't already know. Of course he's an amazing heel.
I know you know, and I know our audience knows, but like I just really have to stress the fact like this is great character work from both guys. Like I feel like they both brought it in such a major way, and even Jericho I felt like was serviceable in this segment because one, he's the host.
Dude, I love Kevin Owens and all, but to me the shining heel of this segment was Jericho.
Yeah, and it's funny because
you're an amazing heel when you get the two guys in the ring that despise each other to team up on you.
Exactly. And I love how he pretty much takes digs at both of them. I mean, primarily Sammy, because he's like, oh, Kevin Owens is right. You are a horrible friend.
Yeah.
And he just goes on about like, oh, you'll never be great. But then again, Kevin Owens, he's good, but he'll never be as great as me either because I'm the best in the world at what I do. And then he does the whole at the end. And you know what? That's the advice I'm going to give you, but I'm also going to give you something else. The gift of Jericho. Drink it in, man. Super kick. And exactly. Beautiful. And you know what I love too? The one time that we have this running joke, I even, DBK on Twitter even sent me a gif of like Peter and the giant chicken locking eyes and both of them squinting their eyes before combat. But we didn't get Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens killing each other. They actually showed restraint, which I think only heightens the emotional resonance of the overall segment. I just loved how this entire thing was played. Honestly, the more we talk about it, easily segment of the night, I think. This was so good.
Yeah, for sure.
So good. Any other things you want to say about it?
No, this was just a really entertaining segment. Sami Zayn was at his best. Kevin Owens did an amazing narcissist promo, and Jericho is just a gift.
Exactly.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
Up next was The Miz versus his mystery opponent, Demon Kane. I was told that this match was like 7 minutes, but I thought it was like a minute or two because I guess I just kind of zoned out.
Right. Nobody could blame you. Honestly,
Maurice fakes an injury. Miz goes out to help her like the good husband he is. And, she's injured, so he carries her to the back, and then it was revealed in the next segment that she was faking, and then Miz is like, oh my god, that's an award-winning performance.
Yeah, honestly, Maurice really was the best part about this whole thing, especially her little dance when she's like, da 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 da, acting, and I loved it, man. It was
She's good, yeah.
Yeah, I just have to emphasize, I really hope they don't get split up for the draft because I love these two together.
I think they're a unit.
Yeah, I want to hope, Ashton, but you know what WWE likes to do to hope. They just
let me ask you this though: why would the WWE even bother to keep Maurice employed if she's not with the Miz?
I mean, that's true. I mean, unless they've been entertaining the idea of putting her back in the ring, but I don't see the point. No, so I'm just really hoping again, that they just stay together.
I think she's retired from in-ring action.
I agree with you. Like again, you and I think are thinking the same. It's just I think, given how WWE has treated Hope in the past, I'm always very cautious.
Yeah, Vince McMahon Googling who are all the couples and best friends in the roster so I can screw with people's lives.
Exactly. That is so him though. Like I know it's from a comedy account, but seriously, Vince's Googling is more in the mind of the actual Vince McMahon than they probably realize. It's terrifying.
They realize it.
It's terrifying. So what came after this?
We had the sixth match of the night, a tag team match amongst a bunch of random dudes. Cesaro teams up with Apollo Crews versus Sheamus and Del Rio.
I just have one question for you about this match, Ashton.
Okay.
Because we know, I get it. There was discord between like Sheamus and Alberto Del Rio, because of League of Nations and they dissolved. But the way that
I don't.
Well, I mean, they broke up the group. Apparently there were like walkouts and beatdowns and just all this crap. But anyway, Del Rio aggressively, he tags Sheamus, and then he does like that, step up Enziguri to Sheamus, and he walks out. Some people were speculating, does this make Del Rio tweener? Does this make him face? Like, is he going to have any comeuppance for this, do you think, or was it just a thing, you think?
Oh my god, that's funny. I thought that this made Sheamus face, because we got like a degree of sympathy with him, because he got kicked in the face and then beat.
Yeah, he was abandoned straight up.
Yeah, like, if anything, I feel like this makes Del Rio, like, a double down heel.
See, and
it gives Sheamus a shred of sympathy that he didn't have before.
Right, and like if WWE wasn't so afraid, which I mean, I get why they don't do it all the time for obvious reasons, but like this really has a justifiable cause to do a heel versus heel match on SmackDown, that being Sheamus versus Alberto Del Rio. Because Alberto shouldn't just be able to walk off after doing that. Like, there's just got to be some comeuppance. You just can't treat a partner like shit and not expect them to have a grievance with you. Even though I know Sheamus, again, is in a program with Apollo, and I don't know if Alberto Del Rio and Cesaro are in a program, because I know they had a match on SmackDown last Thursday, and Cesaro won that match. So I don't know where Del Rio and Cesaro are. But yeah, just an interesting way to get all four of these competitors in the ring together. Out of the four guys, I think Cesaro could be doing a lot more than random tag matches, but that's just me. Babyfaces get the win, and here's to hoping that the Apollo Crews Sheamus rivalry will definitively be ended at Battleground.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, that's. I mean, I don't hate the Sheamus Apollo rivalry, but it hasn't produced any kind of decent matches. So I'm just kind of, looking forward to both these guys to move on.
I mean, I like their match at Money in the Bank, but I feel like Apollo may be primed for a mid-card title run soon, and Sheamus, I don't really know what he's going to do. But the interesting thing about Battleground is because it's the pay-per-view before the draft, it does seem like, I mean, even Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in that preceding segment, Sami Zayn specifically said explicitly, we need to end this. Yeah. We may not be on the same show after the draft, and I'm glad Sami brought that up. So it's like, let's finish our beef, let's settle it at Battleground. So Battleground seems like the home of feud enders. Like, you're committing to the Shield triple threat at that pay-per-view.
I mean, it seems like it should be, but I don't think it's actually going to be.
I think in some ways you're right. In other ways, feuds probably will be definitively ended, I would think. I think it's going to be a mixed bag at that show. Yeah. So, yeah, just very interesting. But anyway, I guess we can move on.
Yeah, like for every feud that they say is going to end that actually ends, there's going to be two more that they say is going to end that is going to get extended for another month.
Exactly.
So up next, we had the New Day doing a really awesome Wyatt family pre-tape kind of thing. You know how Bray, when he does his "we're here" thing, well, Big E is Bray, Kofi is Rowan, and Xavier is Luke Harper, who isn't around. That makes me depressed.
I know. I even tweeted the same thing, like, seeing Xavier Woods in that getup.
I don't know, man. I felt like Big E should have been Braun. You could have kept Kofi as Rowan, and then you let Xavier do the talking, since he's already kind of the talker, and he can be Bray.
Yeah, especially because Bray tried connecting with Xavier in this segment.
Oh, dude, if they're actually going somewhere with this, it makes me so excited about this angle.
Well, I'm glad to hear that excitement in your voice, because I was going to field some questions to you. Actually, this is going to be a two-parter. One,
I like this. I like that TWitWoW has become interview style. I don't know where it's come from, but I don't mind.
Well, I just wanted to shut up more and hear you talk more, so that's really where it came from.
It's all good, man.
Where do you think this is going? But then the second part, which this may be difficult for you to answer, and I understand if it is, where would you want it to go? Like, do you think it's going to be the same thing where you want it to go and what they're doing with it, or do you think they're going to diverge? Like, where is your mind with this angle? Because I'm utterly fascinated by it, but I wanted to pick your brain about it.
You know what would make it actually legitimately interesting would be if they split both of these teams up.
Right.
In the draft. Like, we get, just as an example, we get Kofi, Big E, and say Luke Harper and Eric Rowan both get drafted to one brand. And right. Bray, Xavier, and Braun all get drafted to a different brand. That, I think, would be interesting.
Yeah, I see where you're going. Yeah, that would be.
Because Bray and Braun are kind of like that unstoppable force already, right?
Right.
And then Xavier, there are stories you can tell where he joins Bray. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we can go back to the 3-man Wyatt family, but this time you've got Xavier in there. So it's not just 3 big scary white dudes. You've got a smaller, more athletic guy in there. And I don't know. I just think it would be interesting.
Well, and it's funny because I think it works on another level too, not to muddy the discussion any.
Just before you just say that, I just want to get this one more thing in.
Right.
I think that I personally don't think that the New Day should break up yet, but
right.
A lot of the time it's better to break a team like this up before they start to get stale than wait for them to get stale and then break them up.
Right.
Especially with WWE, where they like to wait for things to be having been stale for months and then decide to finally pull the trigger on breaking them up.
Right.
That's the WWE way. You wait until something has been lame for months, and then you say, oh, wait, this is kind of lame. Maybe we should end it.
Exactly.
Look no further than the Lana Ziggler Summer Rusev storyline last summer.
God, that was painful.
Just insisted on keeping it going until Lana put an end to it. Thank her.
what I love about the prospect of Xavier Woods joining the Wyatt family, and I'm going to be very careful with my word choice here because I want to get my point across. I think it really kind of embodies Bray's overall message, because his message, like, he reaches out to the marginalized and the downtrodden. He reaches out to a very diverse group of people, from the father who can't put food on the table to the prom queen that may not feel beautiful,
to the dirtbag that can't wash himself,
to the dirtbag that can't wash it. Like, all these groups. And you have Xavier, who's this PhD educated guy, like, really intelligent guy.
And you would think that he's got everything in the world that he could possibly want, but the one thing that he's never had is singles success in WWE.
Exactly. And, you know, I think combined with just being an intelligent guy and maybe, like, having all this fun, maybe Xavier feels like, well, I'm the smartest guy in the room, and I just see that the world's, you know, rotting because people like me aren't valued like they should be. And maybe Bray, there's a part of his message that speaks to Xavier. I mean, Bray even says in this promo, you know you can talk to me, Xavier. And Xavier's got this look on his face like, I want to, but I know it's wrong. Yeah. Like, it's almost like this forbidden fruit for Xavier. Like,
oh, yes, it is. It really is. Like, and then it also, you kind of have a parallel there, because you could kind of play it off as, like, Xavier being this PhD. You could kind of play it off as, like, this mad genius kind of character where, like, he thinks he knows better than everyone else because he has a paper that says he does. But
right.
He's really just as naive as anyone else, and he just thinks he's smarter just because of this piece of paper.
He could even get taken, because what I liked about how they handled this dude, New Day was in the middle of their bit in this thing.
Yep.
And Xavier was the one that called it. Like, okay, guys, we did it. Let's go.
Then they were just like, no, we got to keep roasting. It's an ROAST. We got to keep going all night.
And Xavier could even, I'm not even going to try and imitate the Wyatt family speak, because I know it would fall over my face. But if he was to join the Wyatt family, he could say, you know, I was a shepherd looking over sheep, or I was a man looking after children. I know, you know, when not to mess with things or when not to look in the eye of fear.
And if Xavier still wants to do that Malcolm X gimmick that we thought he was going to be,
dude,
the Wyatt family.
Dude, as somebody who really legitimately loved Malcolm X, I've even watched the biopic of Denzel Washington, all that stuff. I loved when Xavier Woods had that kind of character, and if he was to be kind of like Bray's second in command because of his intelligence and his eloquent nature and everything like that, that would be so freaking cool. And it would be so great too, because like you said, Xavier not only has not really had much single success, but he's such a contrast to the rest of the Wyatt. Like, you've got these Wyatt family, they're like big, monstrous-looking guys, and Xavier's like this build guy, but he's smaller than the rest of the Wyatt family. So it's a great contrast, too. Like, wait, this guy is your second hand? Like, what the hell is this? And then he opens his mouth, or he, you know, walks the talk, you know, in the ring, and it's like, it works. So, yeah, I'd be totally cool with Xavier joining the Wyatt family for sure.
How crazy is this, though, that we've gotten to this point?
Yeah, man. It's freaking nuts, man.
Oh, it's so awesome, though.
I never would have entertained the possibility, because I was so gung-ho, dude, on the idea Gallows and Anderson beat the New Day and their tag title reign.
Yep.
But now, not only were we looking at the Wyatts finally attaining main roster gold, at least, dude, I would be assuming.
I could even see them still putting the titles on the Anderson and Gallows. They would just do it in a way that it's like, oh, you guys haven't defended your titles in a while, so you're going to be in a tag title match tonight against the team that we deem most deserving, the Club. And then the Wyatt family costs them the match.
Right.
Like, it doesn't have to be the Wyatt family that wins the titles in order for the New Day to lose the titles. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they can keep this program going without the titles even being involved. Like, they can use the Wyatts costing the New Day the titles as fuel for the New Day to be even angrier at them.
Right. I think the only thing that I'm wary of, because we know the New Day, despite being babyfaces, they're still the New Day, and they've still done the tactics that we grow to love them for. Like, Xavier Woods has no qualms getting on an apron and distracting somebody.
Right.
I would hope that his trepidation and his fear that he's exhibiting in the face of the Wyatt family isn't some kind of a long con to give them an edge, because they know the Wyatt family are very credible threats and they need a leg up. I'm hoping that's not what this is. I'm really hoping we get a...
You know what, though? Even if it is, how much of a genius does that make Xavier look like?
I know, right?
It's like he identified the threat immediately and started putting on the facade as soon as he could.
That is an excellent point because, dude, I think what you and I are in agreement on here, regardless of where this goes, I think you and I are both so committed to the idea of just getting more exposure for Xavier Woods because he's so good.
Exactly.
He's so good, yeah.
It's funny, too, because it might have even been this past week, we had Xavier versus AJ Styles, and, I was freaking out about it.
Yeah, me too. And it was a genuinely good match. Do more with Xavier Woods, heel or face. He's got it, man. I think he could do so much. And just thinking about the possibilities that I really hadn't even seen before this discussion makes me actually kind of giddy about this storyline. So we'll see where it goes.
Oh, I'm so excited for this storyline. I really hope they don't mess this up.
Me too, man. Fingers crossed tight, my brother.
Yeah.
Telling you.
So then we get the backstage interview with Renee Young. Kofi and Big E seem to be just ecstatic about what they did tonight with the Wyatt roast, and Xavier still isn't feeling it, man.
No, he actually walked out before any of them, and they were chasing after Xavier. Wondering what's going on.
Yep.
I wonder if, I doubt it because it's a separate thing, but it'd be cool if even these character changes, seeped into up, down, down. If he was even exhibiting some kind of changes.
We gotta catch up on the channel. That'd be interesting. I never even thought of that.
Yeah, I don't think they did. I just want to make that clear, but I think it would be cool. So
we'll no, and yeah, you know what though? They're separate characters. It's Xavier Woods and Austin Creed.
That's true. Yeah.
So
not a total breakdown just yet. We're not there yet.
Yeah. So up next was our main event. Ambrose Styles, Rollins on commentary. Club comes out and distracts Dean, but it doesn't matter. Even though AJ goes for the roll-up, Dean does kick out. Actually, no, it wasn't even just a roll-up. He hit a big brainbuster, basically the Bloody Mary. Bloody Sunday, rather. What's it called now? 1916, I believe.
Yeah.
On Dean. But Dean kicks out, and Cena comes out to clean up the club, and it distracts AJ, and Dean hits Dirty Deeds for the win.
Yeah, Dean kept strong, beats AJ Styles. He had a promo earlier in the night where Stephanie once again reminded him that he's a disgrace, but he said he loves being WWE World Heavyweight Champion because while he didn't get the parade that he wanted, he gets to face the best in the world night in, night out. And, it was a fun match. I love Seth on commentary because here's what I liked about Seth on commentary as a heel. I never thought he got obnoxious. I always thought he was very honest. And
I love the juxtaposition of him cheering for Dean.
Yes, and he was self-aware, and commentary was aware. I really feel like it was a perfect storm. I really do. I enjoyed it. What did you think about heels dominating to close the show? I mean, just par for the course? Do you have anything?
No, it wasn't par for the course at all. A lot of the time, the WWE prefers to keep their baby faces strong, so I can appreciate this.
Yeah, that's true. I love though that you had two distinct heel entities, one being the club and then one just being Seth Rollins on his own, dominating in their own ways.
Yep.
And I'm hoping that's not some kind of an 8-person tag for next Raw or SmackDown, but I don't even know who Cena and Ambrose's partners would be. Yeah. But regardless, really fun. Really fun close. Seth hitting 2 pedigrees on Dean. I loved what the club did. They had a magic killer on the stage to John Cena, laying him out. So this really seems to me we're totally getting AJ and Cena at Battleground. We already know the Shield triple threat is still a go. Unfortunately, Roman's still being rewarded with a world title shot at Battleground.
God, that's so stupid.
Yeah, I know. But overall, though, a really great punctuation to an overall fun show. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, man, this is, like you said, overall a fun show. I would give it about probably a 7.5, maybe even an 8. You gave it an 8.5, so a little bit more generous than me, but still, the general consensus is not a bad show at all.
Right. So with that said, let's get into our next segment, high spots and low shots. I'm just going to be very direct. My low shot's AJ Styles. Because I know, like John Cena, he lost a chance to go to Battleground, but the biggest difference is you had 2 people watching your back, and John Cena overcame both of them to distract you. I think
John Cena, though.
I get that it's John Cena, but even if
thing is that he overcomes the odds. That's his thing.
I understand that, and I get that, when you have to look at the quality of the individual as well as quantity, but even so, AJ, you were playing with a full deck, brother, and you shit the bed. Shame on you. So yeah, AJ's my low shot.
Yeah, I guess that's understandable. You know what? my honorary low shot, just because she doesn't deserve full credit, is Natalya.
I love that you hate her so much that she doesn't even deserve full credit to be shit on by you because you think that's too much of a privilege for her.
No, it is. She doesn't deserve my what's the word here, John? Like crucifixion, maybe?
Yeah, condemnation.
Condemnation.
Critique.
You didn't hear what I said, did you?
No.
Condemnation.
Oh my god, you would. So who is your low shot at Natalya doesn't get the satisfaction of you just, grinding her into dust?
Well, my low shot, I even mentioned he had some sympathy with me earlier. Sheamus, like, you got abandoned by a guy that used to be a stablemate, like, and you lost. So yeah,
there needs to be a support group for abandoned tag team partners, and I guarantee you, so many would be there because of Kevin Owens.
Dude, I'm telling you, we need a WWE therapy network show.
That would be amazing. There's got to be somebody that could pitch that, or we could even. There's got to be some place we could pitch it to. I mean, so yeah.
Just get all of the frickin'. Oh god, that would be so good. You get just anybody to play the psychologist. It doesn't even have to be a real psychologist because the whole point of the show is that it's a scripted thing anyway.
Right.
You get somebody to play the psychologist. And you get a bunch of superstars, and it's a post-Raw show. You get a bunch of superstars who lost or got beat up on Raw coming out to complain about it.
Right.
God, I love that idea so much. Zack Ryder would be the star of the show.
Yeah, totally. High spot Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
I think again had another great Raw as WWE champion. Which, by the way, Ashton, quick side note.
Oh, and speaking of Dean Ambrose, another honorary low shot for me has to be Seth Rollins, just because he wanted his one-on-one shot, and even though Roman screwed up, he still can't have it.
That's true. Yeah, Seth really got dicked over tonight.
Time.
I just wanted to bring up to you as a side note. I wish I would have thought of this earlier because it would have been better placed. And I can't even take credit for this because I know a few Twitter users I saw on my timeline said this. They noted that Dean Ambrose is only announced as the WWE champion, not the WWE World Heavyweight champion. So that really seemed like confirmation to those people. Yeah, World Heavyweight title coming back on SmackDown. So just interesting little side note there.
I saw people mentioning that kind of thing on Reddit too.
But yeah, Dean Ambrose is my high spot because he had another great night on Raw, and he is the champion, so he's the one that's got everybody breathing down his neck. He was able to keep the match as he originally wanted it, although he did welcome all challengers. It is still going to be a triple threat. He, took care of a potential threat in AJ Styles and prevented it from being a fatal four-way. So good job.
Yeah, that makes sense. My high spot. Think my high spot is, I'm just going to kind of keep it simple here, and it is going to be Becky Lynch because she, crowd seemed pretty dead up until she came out there and beat the hell out of Natalya.
Yeah, totally. I love it, man.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't technically win a match, but that's just because a match that she was going to have never happened,
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
And, with that said, let's move on to our next segment. Raw Request. Oh, man. You know what? My Raw request is keep using the reign suspension as an angle and use that to facilitate interesting possibilities. I like that they use
like him not being on the actual main event that he should be.
Which, yeah, I mean, I'd love that. I'm not that idealistic, and I know you aren't either. But I still think you could do interesting things with it. I don't know what exactly, but I like that they at least put that foot forward tonight, even though I don't think they took it as far as they could have and should have. They still definitely had the right idea about it, and I would like to see that idea keep being used on Raws, because you're just going to need to use it by necessity, because he's not going to be on the product. So that's my Raw request.
Well, this isn't so much a Raw request as it's just a request in general involving the WWE.
Yeah.
Please give us a single women's championship match at Battleground and not the 6-person tag that I'm expecting.
Yes, I agree with you. Just do a women's championship match. In fact, honestly, and I'll say it right now, do Sasha Charlotte, have Charlotte retained by DQ, and then you extend it to SummerSlam where Sasha gets the definitive win. That's honestly how I would do it.
I mean, yeah, that's fine. I just don't want them to keep on doing just random tag matches among the women at pay-per-views. It really feels like it cheapens the women's championship to me.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Look, you want to make a big deal, and I know they did on Commentary Tonight, about how Charlotte's been women's champion for 281 days.
Yeah, like and that's the thing too, is that like they make this big stink about, oh, we have the women's championship now. We respect our women, and then they announce the women's match for the pay-per-view on Twitter, and it's a tag match that the champion is in where she's not even defending her title.
Yeah. I mean, everything you said in that sentence just shows what's wrong with the current picture.
Yeah.
Like the really weak promotion when they're demoted to social media promotion.
Oh, and
then
I also point out we had a commercial during the only actual women's match that we got tonight.
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge pattern that I've pointed out before, that as soon as it feels like the women are starting to pick up any momentum and starting to get longer matches, we start getting commercials during their matches. And
right.
Even though the WWE, that might be them in their mind saying, we believe in our women so much that we're going to trust them to bring people back from commercials, what it really says is, this match doesn't deserve to have momentum. We're going to take it away from it.
And I totally get where you're coming from, man. I mean, with stuff like this, it goes back to something I said, I believe, a few months ago. You could really sum up IRL requested certain things in just 2 words: do better, and you still have to do better by your women. So I love that. With that said, one last segment, 30-second hot seat. What question do you have for me this week?
Well, John, The Miz defended sort of successfully in a way, even though he technically lost tonight, his Intercontinental Championship. But now that he is back, he's going to need to defend that thing at Battleground, hopefully. My question for you is, against whom will his defense be, and will he retain, or will he lose the title to whoever it is you're about to name? 30 seconds? Your time starts now.
Oh, I'll do you one better. He's going to face Kane at Battleground because Kane got the count-out victory tonight. He's going to beat Kane at Battleground. Then he's going to go on to SummerSlam to face Apollo Crews. He'll retain the title there, too, probably either by counter or DQ. But then Apollo Crews will probably get his definitive win at Night of Champions and become the
Clash of the
champion.
Champions, John.
Clash of the Champions, excuse me. I'm still going post-draft conditioning, excuse me. But yeah, Apollo Crews will ultimately win the championship in September. So I just named you Miz's next 2 title defenses. Suck on that.
3 even.
Yeah. So there you go.
Congrats. That was brilliant.
Thank you. All right. Anything else you want to say about Raw, or just any general musings about the directions of storylines or anything like that?
No, I will say it feels like the draft is getting closer and closer, and I can actually appreciate that they're actually putting a degree of effort into their shows leading up to the draft rather than just coasting like they usually do when something big is in the horizon.
Right. All right, guys. With that said, this has been Raw. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. Remember, for TWitWoW Raw reviews, the question down in the comments is the 30-second hot seat. So who do you think Miz's next title defense is going to be at Battleground, and will he win or lose that match? And if you're like me, maybe you can one-up us and just kind of outline the rest of Miz's championship reign. You guys already know all the stuff to follow and be a part of, thanks to the brilliant background that my cohort and commentary here has made. And we will see you again for our Lucha Underground live reactions, followed by our Lucha Underground review. Isn't this the final episode before Ultima Lucha Dos? I believe it is. I knew it. I freaking knew it, and it's going to be huge. And guys, it's laying the groundwork for what could be a legendary, spectacular event for the Temple. Until then, tune in and peace out.